6 days into the Egyptian uprising, and there are at least 100 dead. Although in the chaos, no one knows for sure. We do know thousands more have been wounded since it all began on Tuesday, a day the opposition called the Day of Wrath. Their anger has been fueled by repression, poverty, corruption, but most of all by their president, who they believe has been robbing the country blind for 30 years. Mike Rubin of the American Enterprise Institute.
Egypt was a nasty, nasty place to be a citizen. It was a tolerable place if you were a policeman, and it was a utopia if you were a Mubarak.
2/3 of Egypt's 80 million people are under 30 years old. And it was the young who were the original engines of this movement, which began on Facebook and Twitter and then exploded into the streets. The country watched on Arab satellite television as these kids took on the police on the first day and won. On day two, out came the civil servants, the women, the unemployed, and the Islamists. They were united in their goal to get rid of Mubarak. He's been hanging on to power by hook and, as the Egyptians would say, by crook for 30 years. A staunch ally in the Middle East of 6 U.S. presidents, from Jimmy Carter through Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton, Bush the father and the son, to Obama.
In 2010, U.S. aid to Egypt totaled $1.6 billion. Of that, $1.3 billion was earmarked for the military. But at last the tide is turning against Mubarak in Washington, too. Yesterday, the State Department tweeted that the government reshuffle he'd made to pacify the protesters wasn't enough. That's an understatement.
I'm not leaving, says this man, until Mubarak is wiped off the face of the earth. But if they win, and Mubarak does go, then what? For the moment, the army is trying to hold things together. In a message broadcast on state TV, the generals promised that they wouldn't use violence against the protesters, and soldiers are keeping the peace as best they can. But that can only be a temporary measure. At some point, someone is going to have to take political control, but right now, there's no clear plan. All Egypt is holding its breath.